Coming to you from the Upmarket Studio at Gasworks in beautiful San Buenaventura, California, this is Real VC, a podcast all about Ventura County real estate. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO of Upmarket Media, and my co-host, who is the assistant team leader at Keller Williams West Ventura County, Katie Connolly. Did you notice anything different about the intro today?
Yes, we are in a new location, in a new city, a different part of Ventura County, and I am so excited to be here today.
Yeah, so just as a little background, at Upmarket Media now, we just got a physical space. So we have a studio space where we're going to be doing this podcast every time from now on. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll take it on the road at some point. But and we're going to have a little photo studio in our offices, and it's at the Gasworks complex, which is kind of this, I don't know, how do we describe it? It's an old industrial building.
It's like a cool hub.
Yeah. I would really encourage anyone, if you're in Ventura, on Thompson, drive by. It's a really cool development. There's going to be some really cool restaurants coming in here. And right now there's a few offices and our studio.
Charging stations.
If you have a Tesla, there's a supercharging station right in our parking lot. So
that's amazing.
Anyway, so we're super excited to kind of have this new era at Upmarket Media. And so I think we should just do a podcast in here right now.
I know. Let's go. Well, today I'm excited. We also have a new guest that has never been on our show before. I guess none of our guests have been.
Not yet. We haven't had
only
repeat
me.
guests
I'm the
yet.
only
Exactly.
repeat guest.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting new guest today. One of my good friends, somebody that's been in real estate for quite a while, the one and only Mr. Patrick Fossati from ReMax and the Fossati Group. Welcome.
What's up, guys? Excited to be on with y'all.
Well, so Patrick, a couple of things. I know you have, in addition to being, kind of a straight up realtor, you also have a property management company. And that's something we haven't really talked about on this podcast before. So can you give a little background on that and kind of how much business you're doing there and what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, definitely. It's something I've been thinking about for a lot of years. And then a couple of years ago, I just started thinking about how a lot of the things that we use every day are kind of related or ancillary to each other as far as real estate sales and the property management piece. And obviously the client base too. So I just decided, I got my broker's license many years back to give me the ability to do that, because we can't have that affiliation to my ReMax company. But I just started it kind of I did a little bit of coaching and research, but I just kind of jumped into it. And I figured that as long as I could get proper technology, and we already have a lot of the tools at our disposal with zip forms and with DocuSign and stuff like that. And then again, we have the client base already ready to tap into. So first thing I did is I just reached out to clients in the past that I'd sold rentals to. I said, hey, are you managing your own place, or are you getting it managed and maybe not happy with your person? So it was easy to kind of just get things off the ground with that. And I figured it'd be good to keep in contact with property owners, which I think in our business we always want to do, because if they go to sell the property in the future, we want to be front and center to take that listing. Then I use it as a tool to kind of build relationships with the tenants. Obviously it all starts with taking care of them. I dealt with a lot of property managers just as an agent and broker over the years, because we maybe had a property we were selling that was managed, or you had an HOA for a condo or townhome. And I was rarely impressed with the customer service and just like the way they would talk to you and deal with you. And I said, let me kind of bring my style of customer service and my personality to that. So I'm big on making sure the tenants are happy, the property's well taken care of, and that type of thing. But we market to the tenants. And then I think it's an opportunity to continue to network with vendors. I'm really big on kind of business to business stuff. So now it's an opportunity to give more business to our plumbers, electricians, and different guys that we're hopefully building a good relationship with, and try to create that business to business aspect in the future. And of course, the residual income that comes from it is cool too. And it's just a fun extension of what I do. And I've really enjoyed it so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, we talk wealth building in real estate a lot, and a lot of people, I think, talk about it, but don't necessarily have multiple streams of income for their real estate business. And I know for a lot of my peers, this year has kind of been crazy up and down. So definitely multiple streams of income is important to all of us.
Well, yeah, that's why we have a podcast. But I do have a kind of a specific question about that in property management in general. Isn't it kind of hellish? I mean, isn't it that you are on call like 24 hours a day? And I know, cause I've been a renter for so long, it's like, and I did it here. There was I had something I needed, and it was Sunday, and it was kind of emergency, and I had to call, and I got, all of a sudden you're talking to the property manager on Sunday afternoon. And
I did help one of my tenants get their shower diverter changed on 4th of July. It was there for a couple hours, but Knock on wood, I've been lucky so far, and I'm sure as my door count and my book of business grows, that's going to change. But you definitely have to be more on call. You have to be on top of repairs and stuff like that. So there is more work to it, but I kind of enjoy that piece. And I've also gotten really good with, I think, like the ounce of prevention thing, where it's like, let's really be thorough and careful with the vetting of our tenants to hopefully get good people in there, which I think if you have good people, hopefully the problems are eliminated. But I'm big on property maintenance. So like before we lease anything out, I tell my owners, hey, we have to spend a little bit of money to get things in good working order. That way it's not a problem once we get in there, and just try to take good care of the house so that hopefully issues don't pop up and you're not dealing with too many headaches down the road. But yeah, that's certainly a part of it, of course.
Yeah. Well, but this is a part of your business you're actively trying to grow as well.
Yeah, definitely. Slow and steady. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've been telling people, like, I think sales will always be my primary focus, but I'd like to grow it slowly and steadily. And it seems like it just kind of happens organically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so much of our business happens that way. It just we're always trying to market, but it does end up just kind of happening organic. If you do a good job, it's going to happen organically as well.
I mean, speaking of that, so Reed and I are both Ventura County natives, basically. And
let's speak for yourself there.
Are you not? Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Northern California.
Oh,
I'm a Central Valley kid. You know that. We've only had 10 discussions about it, but that's all right.
So then you guys may have this in common, and I may be the outsider in really growing a people business in a community that maybe you weren't raised in. Maybe, you know, your friends' parents didn't call you to buy and sell their houses like they did with me. So how has that worked out for you, coming from not being raised here and moving here as an adult and building a successful business?
So I think the thing I typically point to is just like the social aspect of my life and kind of how that's transformed into business. I moved here in 2015. I grew up out in the desert in Lancaster, lived a couple years in Oregon, came to Ventura County. And the first thing I did, not really thinking business wise, but as I got into adult sports. So, I mean, that was just fun from like a social aspect, but you know, playing the sports and seeing the same people week after week and starting to build friendships with them, you know, after time, the size of the group grows, but then people just start talking to you about business. And over the last couple of years, especially, man, my sports friend group, if you will, they've really been good to me as far as I've helped a lot of them buy and sell, and they're just always seem to be reaching out to me for help. So a lot of it's been the social thing. A lot of it's, I did invest in online leads when I first moved here, knowing, hey, I don't really know anybody. So let me kind of use that little hack to start getting new clients and stuff, and then just really nurture those relationships once we transact.
That's funny that you say sports. I was at a lead generation conference, and one of the speakers literally said that he built his business on pickleball, and we all started laughing. And he said, no, seriously, like I love it. I made a lot of connections via pickleball, and
yeah, totally.
So yeah.
Well, and I think, you know, to bring my perspective into it on how, you know, I kind of grew this business, which, you know, really just started just doing real estate photos. Didn't even have a drone back then. So I think when I started the business, like it was around the same time it was before that, 2012, 2013. I had the benefit of maybe the curse and the benefit of starting in Ojai, where I live. And I was still kind of new to town, but I knew a couple people, and one person had I knew a stager who had some real estate contacts. And so I was able to kind of get some clients quickly, but ultimately what it was just doing a good job for people and being personable. And then, and I feel like I came from the creative fields, and I was not business minded. I was not a business owner until all of a sudden I owned a business. I knew nothing about marketing. I didn't market. My only marketing was just word of mouth. And so I think if you do a good job for people, they will tell other people. And that's how I did it. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do have to, one of my favorite things about Patrick is that he's like super zen and very like intentional. So I do have to give a shout out to producer Chelsea, who is with us today, because I'm going to bring up her favorite word, authenticity, because I definitely feel
that's
that,
right.
Are we there, Chelsea?
I'm here. Hello.
I definitely feel that Patrick lives and breathes authenticity, and how you even got on the podcast today is kind of a cool story if you want to share that with our listeners.
I was at a photo shoot with Upmarket a couple of days ago.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Naturally, because they take the best photos in Ventura County. But, you know, one of the guys that was out shooting, I was kind of joking them. I was like, dude, when's Reed going to get me on the podcast, man? I feel like I'd be a good guest, that type of thing. And he just kind of laughed it off. He's like, yeah, I'll talk to him. And then within an hour, Katie called me. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm scrambling. We need a guest on the podcast for Thursday. I'm like, cool. Count me in. Let's do it.
Yeah. That's exactly how it happened.
That was crazy. Yeah. Because that was not a setup. No, there was no, not at all.
So if you could go back, I guess I haven't asked this question before to anyone, but if you could go back and change something about your real estate career or done something a little bit different, basically to give, insight to somebody that may be watching or listening to this on what they should do in their real estate business early on, what would you go back and change?
So I think a couple things come to mind if I'm able to share more than one, but one that's not very glamorous or exciting, but I think is super important. And then I waited, 10 years into my career, which is embarrassing that it took me that long. But I think just getting really good systems and processes set up early on is super key. I mean, like I said, I did it so far into my career. And once you get busy and you get things going, it's hard to kind of press pause on your business and set this stuff up. So like I've started mentoring agents the last couple of years. And one of the first things I do is say, let's get your computer set up, to kind of have an organized, good workflow in the down the road. So I say, let's set up get a Dropbox, get a master folder with all your stuff, get all your zip forms templates set up, get your transaction checklist set up. And it's so easy to get access to this stuff now. I mean, obviously everything's available for us, but I think if you set up a business that's efficient and streamlined from the beginning, once you get going and you get busy, it's so much easier to manage and handle all that because things are already set up and they're good to go.
That's important stuff that really doesn't, cost any money either. A lot of people think getting into real estate, you have to, it's a low barrier of entry and it's actually one of the least expensive businesses to start. But, all of that stuff is important and it's just taking that hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever, and organizing your business off the bat. It's good advice.
Because once you get busy, then it's so hard to set up those new systems. And then all of a sudden you have to hire someone to set those systems up for you because you're just not able to do it. So you have the luxury of time when you're first starting because you're not busy. Yeah. So,
Yeah, or I see people that are super busy and they still don't have systems and it takes them 7 times as long to get anything done, but they're just used to thriving in that chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you have the bandwidth, I think that's the time to do it for sure.
Exactly. So what was your other thing?
So I think the other thing I'd recommend or that I would have done differently is I think, we're really lucky in this business that we obviously have the skill set to know about properties and value and stuff like that. And I think becoming an investor early on, not a full-on investor, but I think, I didn't buy my first rental property until, 4 or 5 years ago. And I think a lot of realtors, they're in a position where you have a little bit of an advantage, start to pick up some rental properties because you don't want to be that guy that's been in the business for 15 or 20 years and don't have some other, like you talked about earlier, some streams of income they're going to start coming in. So I think you should be very intentional about, hey, let's look for some good opportunities for rentals and start to pick those up,
That's good stuff. Tip. So are you a one-man shop or you have a team behind you?
So I have a great buyer's agent named Andrea Albin. My assistant, I lost her about 6 months ago. She went to be a stay-at-home mom and miss her dearly. And she's loving life with her 2 little kids. So I'm kind of a one-man show, but I have, like I said, a great partner agent. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We got 2 of us, thankfully, and Chelsea, of course. And I forgot to intro you in the beginning. I'm sorry, Chelsea, but
it's okay.
But I'm going to take the opportunity right now to take a break and make amends to Chelsea for that. And we'll be right back, though. We're going to come back with a social media sidebar, and then we're going to talk about some marketing, and then we are going to end this dang thing with action items, as always.
Awesome.
All right, social media sidebar time. We are upmarket.media on all the social media. We're always doing lots of stuff, and that's where you're going to find social media about this podcast, and then about, if you want to see a lot of the houses that are coming up for sale in Ventura County, check us out. Katie, where are we finding you?
Perfect. You can find me, katie.connolly.realtor on Instagram, Katie Connolly on Facebook, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn may have my grown name, though. It may say Catherine Connolly. I'm not
Catherine,
sure.
It probably does. Yeah,
it probably does.
Catherine, yeah. And then Patrick, can we find you on
I only
Instagram?
have a MySpace page.
That's all right.
Yeah,
give it out. Give it out. That's fine.
My 2 main channels would be just Facebook, Patrick Fossati, and then My Instagram handle is Fossati_real estate_G. Does not stand for gangster or gang member, I promise. It stands for group, but that's where you can find me.
Well, and then, so how are you using social media in your business?
For one, I mean, obviously everybody's doing it for the most part. I'm really big on aesthetics and presentation. You know, I try to make all the photos on my page look aesthetically pleasing, look nice, and kind of just have a flow to things. I don't like to just throw stuff out there. I'm pretty intentional about what I put out there. And just, posting transactions, just like everybody else. I try to have the multiple touch points. I'll do it just listed, a pending, and a just sold. And then, if there's any type of accolades or things like that happen, and again, I don't like any of this stuff. I mean, anybody that knows me well knows I'm not about like being the center of attention, but I always talk about social media as kind of a necessary evil in our business, but it's such a big part of what I do now, as far as a lot of the clients that come to me are finding me on there, and it's kind of fun too.
Well, are you just doing posts? Are you doing stories, or how often are you posting? And are you putting any personal stuff on there?
I don't know if it's a product that I work too much, because I'm always out doing fun social stuff too, but the majority of it, unfortunately or fortunately, is work. I do like to add in personal things too, and I do have one page that I run both with. But yeah, like a good mix of stories, post. One area I'll admit I'm lacking in is video, whether it be property specific or something where I'm talking. But I know I need to do more of that. And, speaking the obvious, I think that's where a lot of agents that are really growing that following and growing their business are kind of excelling in, is the videos.
For sure. And I mean, that's something that we've been thinking about. And like, even we produce media, and we need to do more video. Right, Chelsea?
That's right.
Yeah. Obviously we're doing property videos. We're doing several a week, so we can always post those. But to do content that is, one of us talking.
Yeah. We need a lot more of that.
If only we had a studio, then we could do that.
If only we like to talk on the camera.
Yeah, well, and that's basically, not to have an ad for it, but it's one of the reasons we got the studio is not only can we do this podcast here, but we can also do other social media content, other photo shoots, other video shoots, for us and for our clients, for realtors. Yeah. So, I think there is value in having, professional media people do some video for you. And I actually think there's a lot of value in not having people like us do your video, because when it's just you with the camera, and that's when you can really, really be authentic. And that's what we're always going for.
Yes. Yeah. Have you seen some ROI, some return on social media? Gotten any business from it?
Definitely. I mean, again, it's a big vehicle for just advertising my listings, and just people, and all of my stuff for the most part has been organic. Usually I'll do boosted posts on my listings and whatnot, but yeah, just people reaching out that see you on there. And I think the ROI, of course, is big. But I do feel like if the video was implemented, I'd see the ROI definitely grow. And a lot of the guys that are killing it, I think, are doing a lot of video stuff.
I think so too. I think that is, we've been saying video's the future for a long time, but it's the present. So I think we all need to reevaluate the video we're doing, and constantly, and the problem is you just have to do it all the time. It can't just be a video.
Yep. I'm seeing a lot of people that are entering into the business that are really grabbing onto video and doing it really, really well. And they also have the bandwidth. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like when you're busy like Patrick, it's like, okay, now I got to spend, 20 minutes doing this video. I mean, it's hard to do that. Yeah. And especially if it doesn't come naturally to you.
For sure.
And if the way that we've done things for so long works, it's kind of like, well, why,
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. We're going to talk more about non-social media marketing here in just a minute. So we'll be right back. Okay, and now it's our marketing moment. Katie, I know you have some good marketing questions to ask Patrick.
I do. We talked some good stuff about social media, and I've heard a lot of buzz out there that people say, do client parties, have people be a master connector in your community. And I saw on social media that you actually did a client party. So walk us through that. What does that look like, and what brought you to putting one together?
Yeah, so I think it's something I'd also been thinking about for quite a few years, and then 2 years ago, I finally took the plunge and just said, hey, let's do one. We did the first one at Topa Topa here in Ventura, and it was just really cool. I think it's it's an easy way, I think, to stay connected with people. Obviously, it's a fun event. And then I think if you're creative with it, you can really open it up to other people. Like, so the one I'm doing one in the next couple months. It's going to be a client and vendor appreciation event. You know, like I talked about earlier, just a way to strengthen those relationships with your vendors. But honestly, it's just fun to me. You know, like this career has blessed me so much. I never thought I'd be doing any of these things, and to like have a party where people are coming to spend time with me that I've got to do business with and that have ultimately become friends. It feels really good. And I'll say that the event, I think, is just kind of a drop in the bucket. I think one thing that's helped me just continue to grow my business is my clients. I mean, this is going to sound cliche, but they truly become friends. You know, like the event is great, but then there's so many people that I go golfing with, or I'll go to concerts with, or just, hey, bro, I haven't seen you for a while, man. Let's go grab a beer, grab lunch next week. And I think just the fact that I really like people, it makes it easy and kind of effortless. But I love just kind of, you know, turning clients into friends, keeping in touch with them. And again, the byproduct's going to be, it's just going to help your business grow with referrals, repeat business. And I think when you have relationships like that with people, when the conversation or the topic of real estate comes up to them, rather than just saying like, oh, you should talk to my guy. He did a good job for me. I think people fight for you, you know, like when you take good care of them. Obviously, it all starts with the experience, the customer service, like you mentioned earlier. But when you become friends, man, like they become advocates for you. And they're like, dude, you have to call my guy Patrick. He'll do a great job for you to sell your house, blah, blah, blah. So it's just fun to do it. And then, yeah, I think there's obviously benefits on the business side of things.
I've heard so many realtors talk about their client appreciation parties, and I mean, and I know some that are spending like 10 grand on these things, and every one of them has said, yeah, I've gotten deals from it. Every time I do one, it translates into getting a deal, whether it's a referral or, you know, someone, you know, I don't know. And have you found that to be true?
Yeah. So I think, for one, you know, look to your affiliates for help too. You know, if you got a lender that'll help you sponsor, hey, I send you a lot of business. Will you help sponsor our event? You know, they're not cheap. You know, usually I like to do like some type of open bar, or, you know, maybe that's the only reason they come is just for free beer and wine. But, you know, they're a little expensive, but it's worth every dime. And even if a lead doesn't come out of it, conversations do. But more than that, it's just about continuing that connection and that relationship. And again, they're just really fun.
Yeah.
And so how do you market, I mean, that event specifically, but just in general, like, is it print marketing? Are you just like dialing on the phone to connect with your past clients, or is it a combination of all of those things?
I've gotten really good the last couple of years with email stuff, you know, just as a vehicle to do it without too much effort. So, you know, people are getting typically a weekly, you know, market report about their house. Anytime I take a new listing, I put a really nice flyer together. I email it to my database. I do a Ventura County events thing that I send out that's kind of neat, that has, I think, kind of some social currency, like something that people are like, oh, that's really cool to see that. But I think it's not very organized, if I'm honest, as far as like truly reaching out to people. I probably don't have like a reminder in my CRM to call them every quarter or anything. I just reach out when I feel like it. Sometimes with properties, if something gets listed, I'll text them like, oh my gosh, look what stuff's selling for your neighborhood, just to kind of, you know, just to check in with them. But again, a lot of it's just keeping in touch with them on a friend level, and hey, let's go golfing next month. Hey, let's go to this cool event. Right. And then obviously the client event is like one catch-all where it's like, hey, everybody, let's all hang out, you know, in a couple months and spend time together.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to hear about it because we're doing the one ourselves. It's kind of a client appreciation party, but it's going to be a grand opening celebration of this space. We're going to be doing it in September. So, you know, look, and we got to figure out how we're going to be marketing this thing. Yeah. So, you know, check your email box if you're, and we'll probably throw it up on Instagram too. But
I love it. I love it.
So it's going to be exciting. So, you know.
So one last thing on marketing and branding. I noticed your hat, and actually our last guest had their business hat on too, if we remember correctly. So how does that fit into your business, kind of just?
And if you're not watching on the YouTube channel, it's a nice looking hat. It's just got a big F on it, a stylized F. And I don't think it stands for that word. It probably stands for Fossati, I'm guessing.
I'll plead the fifth on that one. But yeah, it does stand for Fossati, of course. And it's probably the only artistic thing I've ever, you know, designed in my life. I kind of had the vision, then I had an artist that brought it to life. But it's just, honestly, I don't know what it does in regards to truly helping my business grow, but I think it's important, and I'm really big on presentation. You know, like I think once you develop a logo or a look, I think it kind of shows a certain level of professionalism if you use it on your, like I have letterhead and little labels, little gold labels I put on all my letters and my branded thank you cards and stuff. But more than anything, it's just fun to me. You know, it's kind of cool to see a representation of myself and the business that I've worked really hard, the reputation I've worked hard to build and to create. So it's more just fun to me. I don't take it too seriously, but I do think it could be helpful. And I think when you look professional, I think people in their minds, you know, have that perception of you.
For sure.
That's true. That's true.
I think we got to get some hats for this podcast made up, and you know, but to do that, we would have to take action, which I think means it is time for our action items.
It is.
So I'm gonna Katie, do you have a good one?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have Katie. You inaugurate the first action item in the new space.
So talking about systems kind of inspired me. I want to challenge everyone to, in their phone on closing day, or go back and check all of your closings. Just hit an anniversary reminder for all of your closings, so it's in your calendar. You can look and see, hey, this is now the 1 year anniversary of the Real VC podcast.
There you go. Yeah.
Or, you know, but your house anniversary.
Sure.
And then to reach out to those clients on those days.
Hey, the house anniversary. I didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Why don't I go, and then we'll let Patrick, I think he's going to have a good one. We'll let him kind of bring it home. I was inspired by what we were talking about earlier about video. And I think my challenge is for everyone to make a video. That's it. And it can just be 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Should have you in it, or at least you talking, but just do a video about real estate or about whatever you want, and get it posted, because video is the future and the present.
Love it. Love it. Last but not least, Patrick, what's your action item?
Yeah, I'd say start being intentional with your business relationships. You know, I mean, we're in a business where we're affecting so many different people. As far as, you know, we always got different parties that are working on the transaction and stuff like that are maybe getting insurance, or obviously lenders, or people that are in work on the home. So I think go out there the next couple of weeks and just look for somebody. I don't care if you look on Yelp or on Google, but identify people that are doing business that's something that ancillary to real estate, and just reach out to them and say, hey, I always need this or that. Like, can I start sending you business? And I think one thing with business to business relationships is I always look to lead with value. Like, to me, I'm not worried about getting anything in return. I'm like, hey, if I feel like somebody does a good job, like, let me start sending them business, and we'll worry about everything else down the road, you know? And I think that's just kind of how I live my life as well. But yeah, I think just get out there and start meeting some good people that are doing business, and hopefully that sets up a reciprocal situation in the future.
Sweet.
Good stuff.
Patrick, thanks for coming in, man.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being our first guest in our new space.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got it. All right. And we will be back very soon with a new episode. Come on. There's going to be some Tuesday down the road, either next Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays from now. You get a new episode coming out. So, Katie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, as always. Yeah. Yes, appreciate you.
Appreciate you. And I appreciate our audience.
And I appreciate Chelsea.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. Real VC is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode, but in the meantime, we hope that all your transactions will be smooth. Thank you for everything.